LexisNexis celebrates 125 years of Matthew Bender, honoring our past by forging the future of legal publishing.
I'm editor-in-chief, first of all, along with Alan Resnick, of Collier on Bankruptcy and the whole line of the Collier publication, which includes the Collier Bankruptcy Practice Guide, the Collier Pamphlet Edition, about 10 different one-volume books, a number of monographs. In addition, I also have 2 one-volume books that I write, that I'm the author of. One is Collier Family Law and the Bankruptcy Code, and the other is the Collier Consumer Bankruptcy Practice Guide. It was in the early 80s, about 30 years ago. I was asked by Larry King to step in for Judge Conrad Sear, who was being elevated to the district court, and now he is the First Circuit Court of Appeals judge, to write parts of Collier on Bankruptcy that deal with Chapter 13. And of course, Larry was a giant in the bankruptcy world. He was a reporter for the Bankruptcy Rules Committee for like 20, 25 years. He was, professor at NYU Law School. He was a counsel at Wachtell Lipton, which was one of the leading bankruptcy firms. And so it was a big honor for me. I don't think I was even 10 years out of law school at the time. But Larry, I guess, saw something in me, and so I started writing, and they seemed to be happy with my work, and they kept giving me more things to write. Well, I've had a really good relationship with the various people I've worked with, for one thing. The editors are absolutely devoted to the quality of the product. I think that's probably become pretty rare in the publishing world, that we have editors who are very careful about the substance and who really care about what we're producing. So that's been a big part of it. A second part is, as I became editor-in-chief, is the whole collaborative process that we have in writing Collier on Bankruptcy. Everything that is written by our contributing authors, and we have quite a few of them, and they are many of the leading people in the bankruptcy world, but everything that is written is reviewed by at least 2 people, and often 3 or 4. And those are the people who are either Alan Resnick or myself as editors-in-chief, and also we have an editorial board which has some really terrific people like Professor Elizabeth Gibson, who's the current reporter for the Rules Committee, like Judge Bruce Markell, who's one of the more scholarly bankruptcy judges, like Rich Levin, who was one of the authors of the Bankruptcy Code in Congress, John Rayo, who is one of the leading consumer bankruptcy people. And so we review everything, we comment on it, we talk to each other. Sometimes if there's a thorny issue, 3, 4, 5 people will be sending emails back and forth to figure out what's the right answer, what is the right way to present this. And that's all been very rewarding, and so I really enjoy that. I particularly enjoy working with my co-editor-in-chief, Alan Resnick, who is just has an encyclopedic knowledge of bankruptcy, and is just, he was a reporter of the Rules Committee for many years as well. So it's just been a very fulfilling part of my career. Well, I guess I must like to write. I do a lot of it, and to thinking out difficult issues. I still write a number of chapters of Collier myself. I'm the author of some of the chapters, and having the ability to try and synthesize what's going on in the courts, what's going on when new legislation is passed, to try and interpret what Congress has passed, which is not always very clear or well thought out. It's a challenge, and I enjoy doing it. Well, it's certainly been a big change that I've seen over the years. It has become obviously much more electronically focused. When I started, actually the first chapters I wrote for Collier, I wrote by hand on a legal pad, and eventually, that I got a primitive computer, and now, of course, we're transmitting things by email. For a while we were sending floppy disks, and then now we're transmitting things by email. Now we're working in, just track changes in Word. So that's one change, and things are, of course, many more people are accessing the publications electronically. Well, I think back to when I was asked to be the Collier editor-in-chief. I had been doing, of course, a lot of writing for Matthew Bender, and a couple of years after Larry King passed away, I was approached by George Baris and Dennis Schneider and asked, if I would be interested in that, and we talked about the fact that we really wanted someone who had a great depth of knowledge in commercial bankruptcy and business bankruptcy. My expertise was more in consumer bankruptcy. And so I suggested Alan Resnick, who I'd gotten to know over many years when I was on the Bankruptcy Rules Committee, and he was the reporter. And I just knew about Alan's terrific attention to detail and his knowledge of the bankruptcy code and his ability to analyze things. And so they did approach Alan, who had to give up a book he was writing for a competitor in order to do it. But he agreed to do it. We met, I think, in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel in New York City with Dennis and George, and came to an agreement that we would be the next editors-in-chief of Collier. I guess that was close to something like 10 years ago already that we've been doing it. And I think, I like to think that we have maintained and maybe even improved as much as we can the product that we put out. We certainly give it a lot of time and care.